Welcome, boys and girls from YouTube. My name is Sloth, this is Sloth Forge, and thanks a lot for stopping by. In today's video, I want to showcase you just real quick the right now strongest fallen Shadow Spire team. I already talked about this team a couple of weeks ago before the season started, and especially in particular about Philendor, because this hero, he performs extremely good here in this dungeon. It's just, yeah, he's absolutely not comparable right now to any other hero, if it is exclusive or non-exclusive. It's just amazing how good he performs here. If we look at this unlimited dungeon speedrunning leaderboard here, out of those 30 teams, all 30 teams are using Philendor. Some different iterations of this team, but it's always Philendor who is the main carry. As you can see, I'm also using Philendor. I went for Philendor on the last banner, and I absolutely do not regret to do that I did this, because he performs so good. And yeah, it's actually relatively important to clear this dungeon, but it's not mandatory to have Philendor. And this is what I want to talk about in today's video. First, I want to explain you just real quick how the Philendor team works, because there are some small shenanigans that you really want to know. You want to follow those tricks, those steps. But then most of you, or some of you, probably don't have Philendor, which is absolutely fine, because apart from this one area, he's absolutely not needed. You can always use Hubrook or Filto instead for damage in other areas, and you have nearly the same results. It's just for this dungeon, there is no alternative for Philendor, because his ultimate, it just performs so perfectly fine in this dungeon. As I said, there are some small shenanigans. And the first shenanigan here, once again, it is built around Zagomir, because we really want to use Zagomir here in this team for his carrot, because he boosts ultimate energy a little bit, and if you use Zagomir, it's always the same. You want to remove all of your heroes, and then the hero that you place first on the board, so in this case, Philendor, gets the carrot from Zagomir. So this is very important. You really want to place Zagomir, or not last, this is not important. It's only important who you place first, and you want to place Philendor, in this case, first on the board. This is, as I said, extremely important, because it's not only the first carrot that Philendor gets now, it's actually that he, from then on, periodically feeds one carrot to one ally, and it's always the ally with the lowest HP, if I'm not mistaken. With the lowest current HP, exactly. And the fact that we don't get any damage here, we can use this for our advantage, because from then on, this means that for the whole 4 minutes, it's always Philendor who gets one of those carrots every 10 seconds or so, which helps him so much, because as I said, it's all built around his ultimate. We want him to cast his ultimate as often, as frequent as somehow possible, because it's just amazing how much damage it deals, and it really melts down those spawning ads. So yeah, this is the first small shenanigan. And the second shenanigan is not really a shenanigan, but something you really have to know. There is no other artifact that you want to use on your Philendor. Even if you have his exclusive artifact, I would still recommend you to use the Effigy of Divine Ear. This is just a legendary artifact, so it's super easy to come by, and it is amazing how good this artifact performs on Philendor. As you can see, it can trigger once every 2 seconds, and whenever he kills an enemy, he gains 10% ultimate energy. And he kills a lot of enemies here, so this pretty much triggers all 2 seconds, providing him 10% additional ultimate energy. So the combination of the Effigy, Zagomir, and the fact that we're using Rally, who in general is so fast when cycling through their skills, makes Philendor a real machine gun with his ultimate. He just keeps on pushing his ultimate over and over again, and deals amazing, insane amounts of damage. So yeah, and this is pretty much the whole team. Apart from that, we're using Laurenthiel and Alton and Gladys to boost his damage even further. If you're missing one of those heroes, you can use another rally hero, whatever you have. Whatever helps your Philendor to deal more damage, use it. Those are the best options, but yeah, there are definitely some alternatives, some rally alternatives. I also saw some people using Hubrook instead of Alton or Laurenthiel, who also had relatively good success. So yeah, just try around a little bit. I think that Uruk is absolutely a good alternative for one of those heroes. So also for Gladys. So yeah, just try around a little bit with his team. But yeah, there is no real alternative for Philendor. Of course, there are alternatives that also reach the maximum chest, which we'll talk about in just a second. But if you want to have something that performs as good as Philendor, there is, I'm very sorry about this, no alternative. However, now let's go back to topic. Oh, and I forgot to talk about the pet as well. We're definitely using the Golem, because the Golem increases our single target damage. However, this is something that I'm currently trying to figure out, because I'm not 100% sure if this is true. Because somehow I kind of have the feeling that even though this is a single target skill, it reads as a single target skill and it always only has a single target, I kind of have the feeling sometimes that this is coded as an AoE skill. So I'm currently trying to figure this out with some testing, and I will also write just the devs or some community manager or whatever, the mods, I'm not entirely sure who, but I will try to figure this out to give you a 100% reliable answer, because I think I'm very sure, and most of you probably agree with this, that this is a single target skill. And whenever I look at other people's talents or gear, it also seems like they want to push their single target damage. However, it's just that I could imagine, maybe it's just a tin hat theory, but I could imagine that this is coded as an AoE. So this is something I want to just check. And yeah, if you're watching this video a couple days later, have a look in the comments below. I will then most likely have an updated version of this statement, and can you give a clear answer of if this is AoE or not. Most likely, 99% it's single target. Apart from that, this is of course not perfect as well. You want 4 mythical gear pieces, so this is not perfect. There is a lot of room for improvement here for my gear. My gear, especially my top row, so my helmet and weapon, are really not that good. However, this is pretty much the rally team or the Philendor team. Now let's talk about some alternative tanks. Now the second team I want to showcase you real quick is the Summon team. And this team is also straightforward actually, nothing too complicated, but also 1 or 2 small shenanigans that will help you a little bit at least here. And first, to just explain you the team just real quick, we're using Lavanis, of course, as our main DPS. She carries this team. We're also using Premza, but just for a little bit of additional damage. It's still that it feels like 90% of the damage comes from Lavanis. And apart from that, this team is also pretty much straightforward, as I said. We're using her as our main DPS, and we want her to evolve into her dragon form as fast as possible. Because once she is in the dragon form, she kills all those adds very, very confidently, very fast. But before she transforms, we have a relatively hard time actually. So yeah, it takes us a little bit of time, and it can happen that, especially early on, some of those adds reach the end of the path. Also, if she is not transformed, she has a relatively hard time to keep the chain alive. But once she transforms into the dragon, she has very good probabilities to keep this chain here alive for the whole fight. And this is your goal. You really want never to see the chain break here, because yeah, the higher the number is of the kill count, the better the multiplier. Now at the beginning we have a 10%, but this gets up to a 100% multiplier, which is just insane. And one way to make it a little bit easier for you to keep this kill count here, the kill chain alive, is to deactivate Lavanis her ultimate. Because with her battle skill and her very strong basic attacks, she has a relatively easy time at keeping the chain alive. But not 100%, of course. Then this is the shenanigan, if you want to say so, that I would recommend you to try. Deactivate her ultimate, slow down the run a little bit, and then whenever the chain is just about to break, then you activate her ultimate. Because if she uses her ultimate, she always kills an ad on the board, and you will never lose your chain right after she ultimates. So this is a very cool strategy actually. It's not 100% reliable. There is a little bit of RNG involved as always. But just in general, this is a very cool tactic that should help you to reach a little bit more points. Especially for the first, now as you can see I just slapped, I could have activated her ultimate and kept the chain. Yeah, but as I said, especially for the first 3 rotations. Now we are at the 4th, the final difficulty, but for the first 3 difficulties, the gap between the summon team and the rally team was not so big, so that we actually had some of those Lavanis teams in our top 30 as well. But now that we reached difficulty 4, it's only rally teams that make it in the top 30. But apart from that, I'm still very confident to say that this is the second strongest team. And now let's talk about the third team, because we have actually a very strong third alternative that could be interesting for a lot of you. It is an IceBlast alternative. This was recommended to me from my guild leader, Pawnee Troll. I really hope that I pronounced his name kind of correctly. However, he showed me this team, so thank you very much for sharing this team with me. And now I'm here sharing this team with you, so maybe this helps you. Because, as I said, in general, you really want to bring AoE damage. Because especially this one here, the Crystalloid, is extremely annoying and makes a lot of teams very, very weak here. However, so most of you probably didn't even try IceBlast yet, but IceBlast is also performing extremely good here in this dungeon. For me personally, it performs just as good as Summon. But of course, as I said, there is a lot of RNG involved here as well, so keep this with a grain of salt. But still, if you don't have Lavanis or missing her exclusive artifact, you can give Beldel and the IceBlast crew a try. Then I would recommend you to try this positioning, and of course you want to use the Golem for a little bit of additional single target damage. And then that's it. This team is just straightforward. There is no special shenanigans. We just press play and let the run for 4 minutes. Here as well, you definitely want to rerun this run a couple of times so you have an idea of how much damage you are able to do with this team, because there is once again a lot of RNG involved. But the cool thing about this team is that Beldel is pretty much one-shotting everything, so all those big adds that are kind of problematic, for example, if we try something like Dauntless, they are absolutely no problem for Beldel. She just annihilates them. And this is so cool about this team. So the longer the run here goes, the more you can see just where it goes. It's just, as I said, Beldel, very, very strong performing hero here. And apart from that, we're just pairing her with IceBlast heroes that we have available right now. So Shinna and Zorak, obviously. And then I'm using Bladden here and Nadia. Or not but this is a team that was recommended to me. And I tried to improve it a little bit, but I ended up with this exact version. There is a little room for improvement, as you can see. The talents are not good. This artifact here is still a plus 16. So maybe now there is an alternative. If you want to improve this team, or you're already using an improved version of this team, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested in your opinions here. And one final thing I want to share with you just real quick is the Whisper of the Consumer. This is also a very strong artifact, and if you struggle here in this area, in this dungeon, you could try the Whisper of the Consumer on someone with a multiple hitting AoE ultimate, because this execution effect can actually be very, very useful here. So, especially now, if you struggle to kill those adds fast enough, sometimes it's just a little bit of HP that is missing. And then here, the Whisper of the Consumer can be very, very interesting as well. But well, that's it pretty much. Those are the two alternative teams that I wanted to show you as well. I tried to build some other teams. I tried, for example, to build a Shadow team. I just had no success. I was not able to kill all the adds fast enough. It's just before the 4-minute mark, 10 of those adds reached the final area, whatever, and the run failed. Or it failed, it did not fail, but it's just that I wasn't able to complete the full 4 minutes of the run. So Shadow was not good for me. Also did I try Dauntless with Genevieve and Nastienka, but I also had no success here as well because of this Crystalloid monster here. Because it's spawning so many small adds where Dauntless has a very big struggle. So, but maybe I did something wrong. I tried some alternatives as well. I even tried to run some heroes like Tamar, for example, to periodically stun those adds over and over, but it did not help as well. Maybe I have to change the positioning a little bit or so. I'm not entirely sure, but I will keep on testing some of those elements. Thunderbolt I also was definitely not impressed with, but maybe I made some mistakes here. Maybe it's just that my enlightenment gear is super bad. This is also because my Shadow team also and Thunderbolt, both of them, yeah, this is one big problem. I don't have good enlightenment gear. However, that's it for today. If you want to share some of your strategies, if you're using another team here, or an improved version of one of the teams that I just showed you, feel free to comment below. As always, I'm very interested in your opinions. But for today, that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.